How we doing? It's Mailman Nick. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Venti. If you enjoy this content, please give us a thumbs up. Don't treat us like 204Bs over here. And obviously, these are our own thoughts and opinions, and we do not speak on behalf of the Postal Service. So I got a special guest with me coming back. John, thank you for coming back on. Since the last time you've been on, you were elected our union vice president. Congratulations. So what are your responsibilities as a union vice president, and how are you settling in with your new elected position?
Just real quickly before I elaborate on that, just like to thank all the members of Branch 4016 for voting, and those supporting me and the other people on our ticket who were elected and are the new officers of Branch 4016 as of January 1st. As it relates to responsibilities, me and the president we oversee 35 offices roughly in our branch. We oversee the grievance process, go to orientations, trainings, carrier academy to visit and speak with our members, ensure that the grievances are being filed and being processed properly. Training. We just had a steward meeting last week on Tuesday, and then a week before that, we had at the office a new steward training for about 8 new stewards and backup stewards in our branch from the elections. Ensure communication with the members. We get a lot of phone calls up there for various issues. If it's retirees having issues sometimes with their health benefits or different things like that, especially with the changes we went through this year, we had a lot of questions about that. So we try to direct them to the right people if it's not us specifically. And that's just an example of some, labor management meetings. We've done some of those recently. When there's injured employees, we direct them to the proper people to get proper help, and all those different kinds of things are just some of the duties and probably a lot of the duties, but there's probably other things that I missed off the top of my head. So,
So how are you settling within the position? Like, is it a big adjustment from what you were doing last time, or is it kind of, an easy transition?
The transition is with me and Patrice, who's the president. She's kind of divided up our responsibilities as the 2 full-time officers. And, there's other officers that have responsibilities that are part-time as well. I had filled in before. I was somewhat aware of some of the things they do, but I definitely have responsibilities I've never had before. And, I like the job. This is a job I wanted to get, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. I've been there a month, just over a month now as the full-time vice president of Branch 4016. And so I still have a lot to learn for sure. Patrice was the vice president for 5 years, so definitely having her experience has helped me in this transition and what to do and how to handle things. I also chair the executive board meeting, which is one of the other responsibilities I have, while the president chairs the general membership meeting we have on the second Tuesday every month, 7:30 at the Tinley Park American Legion Hall. I might as well plug that real quick while I'm on.
While you're on it. Yeah. So do you have any future goals, or are you kind of not thinking that far ahead? Do you plan on being the president eventually? Do you plan on being, on Mike Cariff's level, like a national business agent? Like, do you have any future goals, or just content with being the vice president for right now?
Well, I just started this, I said in the last month. What the future will hold is really hard to say. Things can change or whatever. But right now, I'm settling into this role and the challenges that it presents, and just see where it takes me. But right now, there's no future plans or anything like that. I'm not planning on running for an election for a national business agent or anything like that at this time. No.
Oh, okay. So our contract got voted down, right? I've never been through arbitration process. What happens now? And first, what are your thoughts on the no vote being overwhelmingly no? And can you explain what happens now that it was rejected?
Well, the no vote, this is pretty historic. The membership's only denied ratification of a contract one other time, and that was in I don't have the year off the top of my head, but it was in the 70s. So you're talking 45, 50 years ago since the last time the membership sent a contract back and said, no, this isn't good enough for us. And that that was the position I took, as I felt this contract fell well short of what we deserve as letter carriers, considering all the hard work we do and being essential employees during the pandemic. And when you see what all the other unions out there, such as UPS, which is one that comes up a lot when you talk about us, the type of
Yeah.
contracts that they got there in their last collective bargaining agreements, we haven't had one since then, and we deserve a lot better than what we're offered on this one.
Exactly. So now what do we expect now that do you think we're going to get what we want, or 'cause some people are saying that we might get screwed as far as, we might lose some of the back pay or benefits? Like, is that all true?
Well, let's start by, Article 16 of the NALC Constitution talks about collective bargaining and what actually happens when you have a ratification vote that's a no. And it looks like NELC did the first step, which was notify the Postal Service that within 5 days they want to start renegotiating, and there's a 15-day negotiation period. And then after that, if there is another agreement at that time, it looks like another ratification vote could take place. If there is an agreement, if there's not, then it looks like they start going to arbitration. And if for some reason if there was a second contract offer and it got voted down, it looks like at that point it also goes straight to arbitration if that were to occur.
Okay.
Obviously, there's no way to tell what kind of bargaining can happen in that 15-day period. Obviously, they have to come with something substantially better for it to have a reasonable chance to pass, I think. Whether that's possible or not, I have no idea. But as far as if it goes to arbitration, then, the NALC and USPS present their cases through we use the law firm. I forget the name of it. It's the same law firm the NALC has been using for a very long time. And they present our case, and they bring in expert witnesses, economists, and probably a labor specialist. I don't know. I've never actually been involved in that, but I know it's very involved, and there's a lot of statistics and different things that are brought into the hearing and are presented, and both sides put on their case in that manner in front of the national arbitrator. It generally takes what it takes. Obviously, I can't. Last time they did start the arbitration process, and I think it was almost completed when they got an agreement last time, and I think it was over several months. They might get a date or two a month, something like that. I don't know if that's the norm or not, but it could take a few months definitely for the arbitration process to play out. And then I don't know, the last time the arbitrator didn't make a decision. Last time we had an arbitrated contract, I wasn't too involved with the union, so I can't really comment on how long it takes for them to give a decision once the both sides have presented their case. But it's called interest arbitration, which is much different than your normal, regional arbitrations that I am familiar with. So I'm not an expert in this field, so I couldn't comment too much more than that on it.
Okay. Oh yeah, I just hope we get what we deserve, because that 1.3, we seeing all these other unions getting their money, we definitely deserve more. And the next reason, segue into it, because I had a fight in my office. It's not the first fight that's happened. Is there something you want to talk about carriers being assaulted even in their own offices? You told me you have a instance you wanted to talk about.
Yes. There was in one of our offices, there was a supervisor who did assault a carrier. This happened at the beginning of January. And this is just completely unacceptable.
Exactly.
There's no way. It was a dispute over an arrow key. How that spiraled into a brawl on the floor. This kid's a pretty quiet kid, and he didn't deserve to be pummeled like this. He had to go to the hospital. He's still off of work now. And this is just, we have filed a grievance, a joint statement grievance in the office that this occurred in. We are asking for the supervisor to be removed from the station, removed from supervising letter carriers, and really, he should be removed from the Postal Service.
Yeah.
If a carrier assaults a supervisor, they're looking to fire that carrier. Why, the reverse should happen in this situation. And it's definitely, as far as management abuse or harassment or physical violence, this is definitely one of the things me and Patrice take very seriously. It's
Yeah.
unacceptable. It should not happen. You should be able to go to work every day, be treated with dignity and respect, and be able to perform your duties without the constant badgering and harassment from management over a lot of times stuff that's just ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah.
And they think it's okay. It's not, and it's unacceptable. And for this to happen, yeah, we are, when we start getting problems in an office, me and her are going there personally to try to deal with these kind of issues before they spiral out of control. Um, the best we can. You can't. There's no guarantee that something like this will never happen again. But it was, I was at the hospital with the kid for several hours that night, and it was pretty upsetting.
Yeah, because we come to work, we already got to deal with dogs, we got to deal with weather, forced overtime, and then we got to worry about our supervisor hitting us. Like that's completely unacceptable, like you said. And then we had a fight, unrelated fight in our office too. So this type of stuff, bringing drama into the workplace, there's no need for that. Our job's already stressful. We don't need fights and over something stupid. Like you said, it's always over something stupid. Just walk away. Be the bigger person and walk away. Or if you're in a position of power, don't abuse it like that. That's completely unacceptable. Is there anything else you want to plug? Any other, NALC 4016 news?
Before I move on from that too, that just quickly, the supervisor was arrested too that night by the local
Good,
police
good.
and was charged. So that says a lot right there itself too. Just everyone out there, 4016 members, something we're seeing a lot of issues with is management coming up and starting to ask carriers about, what they call inactivity time or stationary time or whatever. And a lot of times it's just, quite frankly, it's getting to the point of harassment. A lot of times they're assuming the carrier is doing something wrong when they don't even, for all they know, the carrier is working. And just tell them what you were doing. If you're working, you're working. If you went to the bathroom, you had to go to the bathroom. You're allowed to go to the bathroom. They shouldn't make it feel like you've done something wrong because they're saying your scanner had an inactivity event. There's a lot of reasons that could happen. You're delivering parcels. You're in a cluster box. You're in an apartment building. Customer came up and started asking you something. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons. You're not required to be moving literally your scanner to be moving. By the way, it's the scanner, not you, that they're using to monitor this, and they're making assumptions that a carrier is not doing anything. Calling it an inactivity report. They don't know what you're doing and what you're not. And if they have an issue and they think you're loitering, the M39 handbook tells them that they're supposed to go out there and accompany the carrier and do street supervision to see what's going on. And instead, what they're trying to do is trying to harass carriers through the scanner, and it's unacceptable. And, if you start getting questioned by your supervisor about this kind of stuff, you should be asking for your steward, because when they start asking you questions, it is kind of an interview at that point that could lead to discipline. And, that's that at that point, you're allowed to ask for your steward, and you should, to protect yourself, because you just don't know where they're going to go with these things. It may be nothing, but it could be something. And same with the sampling request. They a lot of times if one's missed, they get a report that actually says the carrier ignored it. They don't even ask the carrier anything, and the report already says they ignored it. I have a really big problem with that report because I've gotten it a few times, and we've had carriers getting disciplined over this. No matter what the carrier says in the interview, it doesn't seem to matter. They're just issuing the discipline anyway, and that becomes harassment at some point as well. And the carrier did nothing wrong. The scanner may have messed up. They may have backed out of it and couldn't pull it back up. We're not expected to be tech experts out there. That's not our job. Our job is to deliver the mail and deliver packages. Something goes wrong with the scanner, it's not our fault. That's not our job.
Exactly.
So for them to, and I've literally had to send some disciplines up to what's called the DRT team over this issue. I have a couple of our offices, and it's just it's mind-boggling that they don't have something better to do with their time, honestly.
Exactly. They a lot of the time, like when I'm on the route, my scanner will die, or I can't press it, or it'll just freeze up and I got to take the battery out and all this stuff. And then if you do have like a stationary event, they're like, oh, we'll just put you on training. What is even putting us on training? Like, can you explain that?
So they use training logs sometimes, and this is another issue that's popped up too. If they're putting you on a training log for something, it's got to be legitimate training for legitimate rules that the Postal Service actually has. When they give you something like you got to contact the office every time you have an inactivity, That's ridiculous. You're not required to do it. If you start getting training logs and stuff like that on it, you need to contact your steward. If you're not even sure it's right on the training log, contact your steward. We could have a grievance. We could have it removed, thrown out, because they cannot train you on something that's not your job. It's not our job to report every minute of the day what we're doing to management. Keep a log of what we're doing every day. Constantly contact them. I mean, if I got to go take a leak every time I got to take a leak, am I supposed to have to contact them? Absolutely not. That's harassment if they're asking you to do that.
100%.
And unfortunately, I've seen some ridiculous stuff, and I've only been, like I said, I've only been the full-time vice president a little over a month, and I've already seen some of these things, and it really bugs me, because it's just, they're making assumptions that you're doing something wrong when they really have no idea what you're doing out there, because some report from some higher up is telling them that you're doing something wrong.
Right. It seems like they're on the maximum level of pettiness. Like every little thing, oh, you called off, we're gonna mark you AWOL, or you were at a hold down and you called off, we're gonna take you off for the next week. It seems like they're on a ultimate level of pettiness, and I don't understand it. We're just they need us to carry mail. Why they make like they'll bring us in for signing for training or whatever, and that takes time. They're like, oh, you're still gonna get your route done in 8 hours. Like, no, I have to fill out the 3996 because that takes time. Just going to the office, filling out the paperwork, or doing a pre-D, or if someone's going to be getting in trouble, that takes time to do, and then they expect you to be done in 8 hours. It's ridiculous. So anything else you want to add? Any other 4016 news?
Well, we do got some MDA events coming up. February 23rd is our Mardi Gras event in Oak Forest. The tickets for that are $50. If you're interested, contact the branch office. Same, we also have a Wolves game. The minor league team that plays at the Allstate Arena, that's March 23rd. I believe the tickets for that are $30. And then in April, we're doing a roller skating event at the Glenwood Roller Rink. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but we have flyers out with this information in the local offices as well. I know a lot of the people with our officers and MDA committee have some of the Mardi Gras tickets at the local offices. If you have an officer in your office, they would have it. And just back to the contract too, real quick. I know there's always concerns that now this has been voted down. Oh my gosh, could we do worse? I actually think it'd be pretty hard to do much worse than that. It was a very bad contract, in my opinion.
It was.
Based on inflation and the rising costs over the last several years that, we've been working without a contract for nearly 2 years now, I believe.
We're still behind.
It's for us to not do better than that. I think it's gonna be really difficult. As far as the work rules, I don't know if some of those things could be changed or not through arbitration, or how that exactly works. But the reducing of our fixed office time, the insufficient uniform allowance increases, are just a couple of the things that I talked about last time. And I know you've had Mike Cariff on a few times, and he's been all around talking about several issues with this contract. Some of the changes to Article 8, doing away with the 10-12, the 10-hour list and different things like that. I don't think those are all changes that all the carriers really like. So you add that on top of the economic issues with this package, and it just seems like how can't we roll the dice and at least try to do better than that? I just think the risk is pretty low that we do worse.
Yeah, exactly. If we just say, oh, we accept it, then we're accepting less. But if we have a chance to get more, why not get more? We deal with so much, like we were talking about earlier, assault on dogs, weather, all this overtime. I work 12 hours on Saturday because just issues, and a lot of it is management. Management will make a carrier mad or whatever. They'll get into it, and then they'll be sent home, and then now we got to do more work. It's a very hostile work environment, and I get a lot of messages from people, and they say the same thing. Management is like the same everywhere. It's very unfortunate. It's management should be your leader, not a boss. Like they should be leading you, and just not picking favorites. And I've noticed that too. Management picks favorites. They'll treat other carriers worse. And that's another thing I wanted to ask you. So if somebody was to file an EEO if they feel like they're being discriminated, how would they go about doing that?
Well, EEO, it's generally not a union process. It's through Light Blue, I believe they have a link, or it might be an app for that now since they've changed Light Blue a little bit. I haven't really looked at it. You have the one thing about an EEO is you could go back 45. The incident has to happen within 45 days of the day I believe you turn in the filing.
Okay.
And that's an online process. And once you turn in your questionnaire and stuff, you should be contacted by a representative who will take your case from there. They usually offer things like a mediation process and a few other things at the early steps to try to resolve it, and then it could eventually land up in a hearing with a judge if it pursues to a certain level. I have done a few of the mediations to help carriers in the past on this, but I'm definitely not like an EEO lawyer or anything like that. And I think that's, a lot of people realize if it starts getting to that level, it's you're going to court at that point. And it's case by case basis on the discrimination part of it. But just like any type of suit or anything you're taking forward, ultimately you bear the burden to prove your case. And sometimes that's hard and sometimes it's not, so but that's a very, very basic overview of the EEO process. Also, through our contract, we can file grievances against for discrimination too. Article 2 allows us to do that. So your union stores can help you if you're being discriminated against based on race, religion, gender, those kind of things, handicaps, et cetera, et cetera.
That's good. That's good information. John, I appreciate you coming on. If you ever want to come on again, you want to have something to talk about, definitely hit me up. Is there anything else you want to add, or you kind of said everything you want to say?
Just thanks for having me on, Nick. It helps me engage. I'd like to be able to engage our members. I'm pretty sure several members of 4016 watch your YouTube channel, and I'm sure people throughout other parts do. But I'm the vice president for 4016, so I can speak for 4016. I can't really speak beyond that. Other than I do, I'm an arbitration advocate for Region 3, and I do help with those kind of things as well. But just thanks for your time. It was good to be on again. And yeah, I'd like to come back, once in a while. I think it's really a good way to communicate with the members, and we can find out different things going on out there. So, and I know you just had Mike on that long ago again, and I did watch it. So I do watch your episodes too. You do a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like, because you also have, because you've been on here before, and a lot of people said they liked your interview. They heard you on 8 arbitration. They said you have good knowledge and this type of stuff. You talk to our members, but you also talk about, I got carriers from all over the country that, your information helps them out too. So it's greatly appreciated. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.